I've been in the military for 34 years. I just retired this October.
Thanks for your
I was
service.
I was a police officer in the middle of that. Started my journey in real estate about 3 years ago. And then because of that, was able to retire a year early. So at 52 years old, I'm done. So that's kind of the long-term, short-term, I guess, goal for you guys as well. I'm assuming, right?
Oh yeah,
Okay,
definitely.
good.
We've been together for almost a decade. Coming up next year in August will be our 10th year of knowing each other, and we recently got married earlier this year in March.
Oh, congratulations!
Thank you. And as we're 35, we're both 35 now, and I just started a new role. He just got promoted. We're in the workforce. We're doing our thing, but it's just been ringing in the back of our heads that like, I don't effing want to do this forever, And if we could create a way to, free up our time so that we can do the things in life that we want to do, take our families to do this the right way so that we can have that option. Both of us are open to learning from people who've done it. And so that's why we discussed and decided to take this step. And it's a little daunting. It can be.
I'm not going to lie to you. It was that way for me too. It's that way for everybody. You're drinking out of a fire hose.
People get MBAs, people go to school. This is just another way to invest in ourselves with quality education. And I trust the people here. I'm willing to put in the work. We're willing to put in the work. And so that's why we're here.
Gents, I'm gonna congratulate you because you guys are in in my opinion, one of the best courses around. For $25,000, you are getting a lot of information and a lot of individualized attention. And when you guys have you looked into the immersion section of the website yet?
I'm just now getting into the nitty gritty of it, but I've seen the overview and it's very comprehensive from the contract to all the like deal analysis stuff. Like I'm very happy that this is available to us.
Before we get into business and whatnot, like what do you guys actually do for a living?
Oh, we both work in tech sales.
Yeah.
Different industries within tech sales, but I'm like services, software.
Yeah, I'm in cybersecurity.
Okay. So who's the binary personality and who's the outgoing personality between the two of you?
I think it depends on the subject.
Yeah.
I would say I was in the military. I'm more kind of focused on one thing or another. So maybe I'm more binary.
These are the rules. These are the checklists. That's what we do. That's how we do it.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm a planner. I'm a bit of a cynic where like people think it's a negative perspective. We're like, oh, that's totally gonna happen. I'm like, yeah, I foresee it happening, meaning I'm confident in happening, but I'm gonna have a plan B, C, D, F, G in case of, because shit happens.
For our lieutenants, we had a best laid plans award out at Nellis Air Force Base for Red Flag. It's a major exercise, and we would have the lieutenants do their own planning and then watch it unravel within a day. And then we'd give them a little wooden plaque that said that, the best laid plans awards. Everybody forgets that in any of the best laid plans, the enemy gets a vote. That's the military side of it. In this side of it, it's you have no idea what's going to happen when you open up the wall of a 1900, a house that was built in 1900 to 1915. You have no idea what's going on back there because they did not, like, it was laid in plaster, knob and tube, iron pipes. Maybe they had plumbing, Listen, I bought property sight unseen, right? It is absolutely crazy. But there are going to be times when a deal is right before you even walk into the property. I don't care if I've got to gut this entire property. This property is worth this, and I can put this much into it, and I'm going to make this much. Just a swag, right? Simple, wild ass gas.
And that's you right. But one of the things it was Rye Guy was saying, like, that's key to this business is being able to act. It's scary to kind of jump into something new and kind of part from what we always knew, which was get a job and keep that job and whatnot. But I think we're ready to really jump into this entrepreneurship thing. We see how people are just killing it out there, and we're like, why can't we? Why can't we be those people?
The way I've approached everything in my life, right? If this guy can do it, why can't I?
Yeah.
There's one phrase that irritates the living hell out of me, and that's you got to spend money to make money. That's not what we're doing here. We're investing for an expected return on investment. You invest in yourself for a specific ROI. All right. So that's my goal, is to make sure that you guys can realize that. So to put that in perspective, national averages for a wholesale is $10,000 in an assignment fee. Now, where you are, it's much, much higher if you get the deals off.
I was about that. I'm like, where is that?
Yeah. It kills me when somebody's like, oh, the average age of pregnancy in the United States right now is 16. Well, that means for every 32-year-old that gets pregnant, there's somebody who's just born who just got pregnant. That's the dumbest thing in the world, right? You just got to look at the outliers too. And you guys are fortunately and unfortunately in the outlier category, because if and when one of you gets your real estate license, it's not happening. Okay.
No.
Let me explain to you why you may want to reconsider that.
Okay.
When you're buying an $800,000 property and they're giving you 3% to do it,
Mhm.
you may want to look at that, because that's 3% that you can put on top of the bid that can beat someone else who doesn't have a real estate license. Then when you sell it, you're not paying the 3% to the selling agent. And when you're talking about a $1.2 million property, that's a sizable amount of income. Yeah.
Not right now, but we have a lot of things on our plate. So definitely a good idea. Who would want to save 3% in commission fees or something like that? But I think for now,
you guys are, right?
Yeah.
For now, we have to have our goals set up, and that's kind of what I'm getting to right now. Just that question is more of a rhetorical question for the future, not necessarily like who's doing it now. That's not the question. So your wholesales are generally going to be about 1/3 of the value of a flip. Okay. So whether it's 10,000 or 30,000, out where you guys are, it's probably around 30,000 or more. And you're looking at a minimum of 90,000 on a flip. Okay. So that's what you could be looking at per month. Now, to max that in rental properties, that's very difficult to do in California. I'm not going to lie to you. You can do it. Okay. You can tack on ADUs with all the new open policies that they have with additional dwelling units and all that. I have a friend who lives out by LA, by March Air Force Base, and he bought a property and asked me what to do. And we wound up making a determination that he can put in a couple of pad sites, buy a couple of fifth wheel trailers, plop them in the backyard with some running electric, water, and sewer, and make $4,000 a month on each of the pad sites, which pays for his mortgage. So he's living tax free, and he's got a VA loan, so he didn't put any money down. So that was a definite benefit. Okay. When we're talking about rental properties, it gets a little difficult out where you are, specifically because of the valuations on the properties. Out here, I'm looking at, $100,000 to $200,000 rental properties. Out there, you guys are looking at 200 to 500 to 700 if you're lucky. For every $100,000 that you put out, you've got to be able to pull at least $1,000 in rent. And that's just a rule of thumb. It's not, they call it a rule, but it's not a rule. It's more like a guideline. I know for a fact that if I go for 1% in New Jersey, I'm going to get crushed because of taxes. Out your way, if you're going for 1%, you're going to get crushed. You're not going to be able to get 1% on a $700,000 house. Nobody's going to give you $7,000. But there are other ways to get around that with short-term rentals in certain areas. Essentially, the speech that I usually give to somebody is wholesales are about 10 grand. Flips are about 30 grand over the course of 10 months or 3 months. And then, so that's about $10,000 a month. And then you would need 20 rental properties in order to make the same $10,000, just to put that in perspective. Now, whether we're talking about, $10,000 a month or $50,000 a month, whatever it is that you need to be financially free. All right. Then we need to take those numbers into consideration based on your actual area of living.
As far as a goal that I think we have as we're starting off is focusing first and foremost on flipping. And then eventually, as we build more of a cushion with those net profits and reinvest into the business, flip more properties, get more comfortable, then we start moving into the rental property game, because I know that's where the passive income comes from.
Let me throw one more log onto the fire here. When we talk about rentals, we're not just talking about single family properties. Okay. You could be looking at commercial multifamily properties. You could walk in as a limited partner on a commercial multifamily property that is brought out through crowdsourced funding or whatever, through networks or people that you're going to network with, and we're going to get into that in a little bit here, that can bring these deals to you. You drop 100,000 in there and you get a 10% cash on cash return and an equity multiple. An equity multiple. So if you double your money over the course of 5 years, it would be an equity multiple of 2. Okay. And if you were just making, not that you would, but if you put 100,000 in and you just got your 100,000 back, it would obviously be an equity multiple of 1. Right. Okay, simple math. In those areas, I look for a cash on cash return of a minimum of 10%, an equity multiple as close to 2 as I can possibly get, or, make that little bit of flexibility where if it's a 2.1, I'll go to like an 8% cash on cash return. But that's later on. You're already interested in flipping. That's awesome. To put it in perspective, every burr is a flip. So in the last 2+ years, I've done 10 wholesales, 30 flips, and then another 21 burrs. Right there you go. I got it right over here, man. David Green. It's like a textbook. Right. That's the way it reads too. I think that actually complicates it, that book, a little bit.
I was reading it and it gets a little complicated. So yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it's not that tough. Okay. And over the next few weeks, we're going to get you, like no kidding, by week 3 or week 4, we are going to start prospecting and looking for deals to get you guys up and running. Okay.
Love it.
So
specifically wholesaling, right?
No.
Oh, for flipping.
No, we'll jump. Look, you guys want to do flips? We're going to do flips.
All right, cool.
If you guys think this is all, step-by-step processes, that's not the way real estate works. If you guys want to do nothing but jump into commercial multifamily tomorrow and you have capital to invest, I'll get you involved in that. We can do that like within, 3 or 4 weeks easily.
We don't. We are recovering just consumers. I like to tell right guys.
Okay, sure. Yeah, no problem. Listen, I'm married. I understand what consumer mentality is. I didn't know the difference until I was 48.
I was 29 or 28 when I had a realization that like, holy crap, like I'm not doing the right thing in my future. And really just reevaluating how we approach debt. I spent the last 5 years paying off my own personal debt. This is before we were married. We're starting from scratch. And not a whole lot of capital or any really to invest, but we want to be smart about how we're approaching. And I feel like that's why I'm focused on the flipping part, because I know it doesn't necessarily take any money of your own money off the bat.
So write this down, because everything I talk about is actually on the Facebook website or the Facebook page for TARC.
Yeah.
So if you go into the homeschooled Facebook page and you search me, there's a page. It's a Google Doc. So it's a living, breathing document, and it's stuff Bud talks about. That's the title of the page. And I'm also the creative finance guy. So when we talk about home equity lines of credit, velocity banking, infinite banking, these are the things that got me out of my number one consumer mentality, but it also got me out of over $110,000 of credit card debt. And I'm not saying that you guys, I don't even know what your financial situation is. I'm just telling you, like, everything with me is above board. So I'm telling you exactly where I came from.
Be completely transparent. We're combining our finances actually as we speak. We've got a little bit in savings. We've got a little bit in like a life insurance policy. Like, we're trying to be very savvy and smart.
So are you guys familiar with infinite banking at all? You said life insurance policy.
We have Minnesota Life. I have a financial advisor. And
okay. Do they have you in a whole life or an index-based life insurance policy?
I think so.
Okay. All right. That's something we can talk about later, because I'm gonna blow your mind. Okay. So Bud Evans, the investor who doesn't own anything but controls everything, pulls $50,000 out of his cash value life insurance policy. The money is still seen as though it's in there. So I'm still making 4.7% on the money. I'm paying back myself at 4.3%. So I'm still making 0.04%, which is still better than a current checking or savings account. I lend that to Aim High Properties, which is my investment company that I don't own because the trust owns it. So then Aim High Properties buys a flip or a burr, does the rehab, pays me back at a rate of 10% fixed, simple interest. I take the money that I owe myself, I put that back, and I keep the interest, which is taxed at my current income, which is nothing.
I do have a couple of basic questions. So just established our parent company. Our business is called Pro Legacy Builders. So our parent company is Pro Legacy Capital Holdings LLC, based in Wyoming, anonymity purposes. And then in California, our business that we're going to be using for flipping properties is Pro Legacy Builders. Where the name came from, we want to be seen as very professional. We want to build our own legacy, play on words there with builders, because we want to not only build and renovate homes, but build our future together. So I would love to show you too our logo. So here we go.
Cool. Yeah.
And we came up with this together, and it represents us, and it's really clean and professional. So what do you think?
Yeah, it looks good. It looks good. You're going to wind up getting that like on a wall, a little bit more professionally done, a little bit more like 3D later on when you start looking at investing in higher level stuff, scaling up and all that.
Sure.
That's a great two-dimensional depiction. And that's awesome, because I'm exactly in the same spot, because I shut my old business down because I couldn't scale because I was doing too much work. And now I'm scaling so hard that I can't do any work. But I'd rather do this than that, Sure. All right, so that's
to get us started. And for the program, so they have this whole little guide to submit, because they're going to create a web page and all this cool stuff, so we can start generating leads and all that. My question is, what's the best bank to do business for business checking?
What is your holding company? Where is it located?
In Wyoming, yeah.
Okay, then you need a bank that does business in both California and Wyoming. So I went with Chase. Okay, I like their interface. Since you're a veteran, you don't pay any fees. Okay, and I'm actually seriously considering I probably won't do it because I like TD Bank, but because I can walk in there and have a conversation with the same person all over, every time, versus Chase, which has rotating people with like 3 or 4 different branches in the area, Oh, and I keep them separate. So I keep Aim High Properties separate from all of the other stuff. So Code 3, AAA 2nd Street, Evans Consulting, and Code 3 PA are all separated. They're all at TD Bank versus Aim High Properties, which is at Chase Bank. And the reason I do that is because I want to have that mid-range, that mid-level bank where I can walk in there and have a conversation with their banker, and we can have discussions about how do we fund certain things, versus Chase, which basically goes, we don't do that. We're already working on our curriculum. You're already working on your checklist. You got Josh setting up your email or your website and all of that stuff. Okay. We'll get to search engine optimization stuff later on. Okay. Our main goal is to get into that checklist and start getting things done. So we're going to go into social media. You're going to start a business page. We're going to go into all of the main social media accounts. You can do TikTok. I just use my personal account, just through the logo up there. That's fine. Facebook, your business page, LinkedIn, Instagram business page. And that's kind of it. You can do Pinterest or Howls if you want to. It's kind of tough to get a little traction in there. And I'll be honest, Twitter, I get 0 return on Twitter. I get 0 clicks. I get 0 likes. I get 0 interaction. And I'm posting 3 to 5 times a day. And I've got like 1,600 followers on Twitter or something. I'm not an influencer by any stretch of the imagination, and I probably never will be there, but which is why I started doing these recordings. So right now we're going to get you onto Facebook and those other social media sites. We're going to get you to, in addition to your regular, what you do, we're going to put in there that you are real estate investors. But guys, I buy houses on Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah, oh, shit.
Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist. I've got 3 rental properties from both of those. All right. And guess what? Wholesalers post stuff there.
Sure.
So definitely worth it. All right. And when you put real estate investor on there, people will gravitate towards you. If they're searching real estate in a specific zip code and you live in that zip code, you're coming up, and then you're going to get friended. Okay. We get those up and running, your social medias. We get those all listing that you're real estate professionals. You saw my Calendly link. It's going to ask you what 2 questions do you have. I know you guys are brand new. I know you're going to be going through a lot of stuff. I'd like to see a minimum of 2. I know you're going to have 15 to 20. The reason that I'm asking you to do that is, and if you got too many and you're like, oh, there's going to be 30 different questions in here, send me an email. I want to hit the ground running at the beginning of our call so that we're answering your questions and then jumping right into what are our next steps to get you successful. Okay. And it's all going to come down to what you guys do. I know what I'm doing. I know exactly where I am and exactly where I've been. And I have a pretty good idea where I'm going, right?
Sure.
My focus is get your questions answered, make sure that you understand them, and then get you to success.
Sure.
The 2 videos, if you haven't already watched them, first one is marketing. The second is rehabbing. I really want you guys digging into the deal analyzer and your construction cost estimator, because especially if we're going right into flips. And then Coach Rob has a deal analysis video because he's awesome. He's absolutely brilliant, and he's forgotten a lot more about, construction costs than I'll ever know. Him and Rye Guy, they were doing hundreds of deals in a year before I got into this. So when we go to the front page here and you start signing in, watch this video here, and then jump right into this link right here and get into the one-on-one training and get your walkthrough as fast as possible. Okay. Because we're going to want to get you into lead pipes, and actually we can start looking, not saying you're going to do this, not saying you're going to wholesale. If you guys want to jump right into flipping, then that's going to be our goal. I'm going to give you guys a week to figure that out. And then smart metrics. Okay. Smart metrics, specific, measurable, achievable, relative, and time-based. We want to establish what your goals are. What's your goal? When's it going to be due? It's got to be achievable. Obviously, we're either flipping, wholesaling, or buying rental properties, and it's going to be achievable. Right now, it's not. Okay, but it will be. Let's jump into getting started. Okay, these are the last things that we're going to talk about. This is a checklist, and it's going to be in your email, so please write it down. I'll make sure you get a copy of this recording as well. Okay, but here's what we're looking for. You have your logo. Do you have your domain set up yet? What domain did you go with?
ProLegacyBuilders.com.
Awesome. Okay, fantastic. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that. You've already got your website being set up. You've already got your logo done. We got to get you a Google Voice number.
Got it today.
Fantastic. Terrific. Look at this. We're moving right along. Okay. We're not going to be wholesaling. But I would definitely not recommend that you use your own address on your business cards. Okay. So what I do is I went to UPS, cost me $300 a year, and I bought basically a suite. Okay. It's a PO box, but it's a lot better than PO box, because contractors they're like, I don't know how to deal with you. Right. And once we get that squared away, we're going to want you to definitely get an email address. And the way we do that, the way I do it, you don't have to. You can go through GoDaddy. You can do whatever you want. I use Google Workspace. Okay. And the reason I do that is simply because I have a system that allows me to drag and drop files from one folder to another folder to another folder through the entire process with all of the documentation, so that when we're done, I can upload it and then send it out. Okay.
Sure.
And property sold, and then it goes into completed. If you're using @gmail.com, that's nice for SEO purposes, but it's not professional.
Okay. That's what I figured.
You want to be first is info. And then if each one of you are going to get your own specific name put on there, then it's, DeMarcus.
ProLegacy.com, Diego. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah. And the great thing about that is you can use Gmail, or you can use Microsoft Outlook, or whatever, whatever you want to use for your, for your email. The last thing we're going to do is, and this is the part where we're going to get you to start looking at places to begin to network so that we can start prospecting. Okay. So if you go onto Facebook and you put in the search bar wholesale and a zip code that you want to concentrate on, it will populate, and they usually have like a 10 to 20 mile ring around that zip code. Okay. Look for anything that's over 1,000 and get in there.
Okay.
So any group that's over 1,000 people, sign up for it. You're going to get a lot of duplicate properties. Doesn't matter. Your credibility and integrity is everything. If you're not a professional when you're doing this, you're going to find out very quickly that people do not want to sell you properties or deal with you. watch people. They're going to try to take advantage of you when you first start this stuff. All right. The last thing, guys, is I'm your coach for now, and that's awesome. But we do have individuals in this organization who specialize in certain things. Like JP is a master marketer. He also owns a skip trace company, which if you do get into wholesaling later on, I will tell you that bestskiptracing.com is actually the best skip tracing company I've used. So the name is indicative, right? When you market yourselves, it'll drive private money to you. Okay. The more information and content that you have going on out there, the more people will come to you. If you look at Brett Vogt, he's one of my former students. He's on the Facebook page today. He posted a story. One of his coworkers came up to him and said, "Hey, how many deals have you done so far?" And Brett basically told him, well, he had 2 once we started. Then he got 2 more over the last 2 months. So he's got 4 total rental properties. And his buddy said, well, how do you do that? Well, generally my investors get a return of somewhere between 8 and 12% on their money in simple interest. And the guy said, well, why haven't you ever asked me to invest? And he goes, well, I'm asking you right now. Are you interested? And he said, I have $150,000 in my checking account. A lot of my stories on private money lenders are, they begin with, so I'm at this sporting event in a bar. Right. Or, and I hate to say it because it makes me sound really bad, but I'm in this bar talking about this, or I'm over here talking about this, but I talk about real estate all the time. And the snootier the bar, the faster you're going to find that people want to hear when you're talking about real estate. So if you go to a private club at the Staples Center or something like that, I go to the private club at the Wells Fargo Center for the Flyers games and talk to the people who stay in the boxes, and generate private money that way. Or the other day I was at a Hooters with my partner who's up at, he lives in King of Prussia, and that's kind of like the midpoint. So we decided to watch the Sunday football games there. And as we were talking about our company, the guy next to us turned out to be a hard money lender. 90% of the after repair value and 100% of the rehab, which means if I go to closing on a property that's 65 to 70%, I have to go to the table with closing costs, and that's it. It's about $4,000 to $5,000.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
good
awesome.
stuff, right? Oh, by the way, they're on that sheet that I told you about. The stuff Bud talks about. They do business, Rehab Financial. They do business in California. Their rates have been kind of wishy-washy a little bit lately. So just everything that's on that page, take it with a grain of salt. Okay. Because things change. People are, depending on the amount of time that you have in the industry, rates go up, rates go down, points go up, points go down. You guys will figure it out.
Absolutely. No, this is very helpful. So I think we got our to-dos, and I'll go and schedule the next session for a week from now.
All right, guys, it's been a pleasure meeting you. Everything we talked about, I'm going to summarize it, put it in an email so that we can keep notes, so that when I send you off to a different coach for whatever reason and back, and you jump it back and forth to get specifics, they'll have everything that we've discussed. At the bottom is my link to schedule your next call.
Awesome. And congrats on the retirement.
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Now, if I could just get my eye back, I'd love that.
Yeah. Awesome. Hey, thank you. Appreciate it, bud.
Take it easy. I'll see you later.